Thank you for being here, everyone. I am Kimmy Remus, she, her pronouns. I'm a prevention specialist at the partnership, calling in from Nipmuc, Agawam, Massachusetts, and Pawtucket lands. At the partnership, I will do a land acknowledgement in a moment, but we are trying to be more intentional about learning about whose native lands that we are on and not just simply reading the acknowledgments. So I've been trying to, since I'm on the land of four different tribes, I've been trying to switch off about deep delving deeper into specific tribes. So it was brought to my attention when I was looking up the Pawtucket tribe that unfortunately one of the impacts of colonialism is that they actually do not exist anymore. There are other tribes where there are Native peoples who say that they have Pawtucket ancestry, but the actual tribe is like a gathering of like a core group of people who are fully Pawtucket no longer exists. And we do still have where I live, we have several things named after the Pawtucket tribe. But that is a sad reality that we are living. And so thinking about what that must have been like and what that must mean for their descendants. The one that we utilize at the partnership, I'm going to read off now. We acknowledge that we are on the lands, traditional territory and homelands of California Native peoples. These nations include over 120 federally recognized tribes and many other non-recognized tribes that are all very culturally diverse. We thank these nations for their generosity, and we keep them in our hearts and thoughts as we are in this space today, this week, and every day. And I'm also going to put in the chat both, it's a link and a text line that you can utilize to find out whose native lands you are on, so that way you can learn more about them as well. One moment, I'm about to share the PowerPoint now, but it freaked out on me. Okay, I think it's good to go now. So I'm going to share and I'm going to pass it on to our comms team because they are who you are all here to actually hear from and not me. So bear with me for one moment. All right, everyone should be able to see the screen now, and I am going to pass it on to our fantastic communications team.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. Hi, everyone. My name is Jess Merrill. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm zooming in from the Muwekma Ohlone land. And I am the Associate Director of Strategic Communications here at the partnership. I'm excited to not only share about the partnership's plans for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but to hear about yours as well. So it's all going to be one great sharing and strategizing session today. Next slide, please. So our goal, oh, do you mind going back just one, please?
The goals is the third slide. So the intros are the next part.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I saw the outline and got excited. Okay,
Yeah,
so
me
then
too. I had
let's
to
do
double check.
thank you. Let's do introductions first then. I will pass it along to you, Michelle.
Okay. Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm the Strategic Communications Project Manager. And I do promotions and social media stuff. So if you see something to your inbox, it's probably me. And I'm zooming, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm zooming in from Miwok land. And then Megan?
Hi everyone, sorry for being a little bit late here. I think Mercury is in retrograde and is conspiring against me because every time I clicked on the Zoom link, it didn't like that and would not let me in. Anyways, hello, my name is Megan Tanahashi. I'm the Strategic Communications Analyst here at the partnership. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm coming to you from Nisenan land in the Sacramento Valley area. And I'll pass it back to Jess.
Thank you. Yeah, Mercury is for sure in retrograde. Give it a thumbs up if things have just been wonky with your technology or if there have been miscommunication, because in my life it's been all over the place, and I wonder if NASA can do something about that with Mercury. I don't know. Um, so next slide, please. Yeah, Kimmy, I feel you. Okay, so here are our intents for this particular DVAM PPN. We're going to share our goals and plans, not just the partnership, but we would welcome everyone here from their own organizations to share what you have going on. We're going to share specific tools that we are going to provide partnership members as well, and what we hope to accomplish at the partnership. And then, yeah, that I mentioned tools and resources. So it's going to be all about that. Next slide. Okay. So this is where we'd love to explore your organization's campaign goals. What are you seeking to achieve? You can feel free to pop it into the chat or go off of mute and talk to us about it. What's important in your community right now? I see donations from Michelle and awareness from Anna. Hmm. Community buy-in. So that takes a lot of trust building, right? Yeah, definitely. I see Shaban says engagement from the community. Giselle says awareness in the paralegal and legal community. Oh, I love that specificity. That's really cool. And that allows you to really build some relationships. So that's pretty creative. Thanks. I'm seeing these flow in. So yeah, and Nicole says funding and awareness slash education. Alina is talking about for the first time in a few years, trying to shift from just awareness to community-based fundraising. Huh. Alina, would you be willing to tell us a little bit about the community-based fundraising and what that looks like?
Okay. Yeah, so I guess there's different definitions of that. So thank you for asking. For us, I think it's just finding a way to open up to younger generations and newer, a new donor base that is essentially um, basically just giving everyone a place to participate, whether it's coming to an event, like for example, we're trying to organize a fundraiser at a local cycle bar. We're in San Diego, um, or just giving people ways to donate via social media, of course, but just meeting, especially the younger generation, and a focus on college students, meeting them where they're at, giving them a chance to be philanthropic versus just kind of our existing donor base, which we love, but opening it up to new leaders as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for talking about that. I'm also seeing engaging male-identified students and learning to criticize the behavior, not the person. Oh, I really like that. Yeah. Um, Calais, did I say your name correctly? And I wonder if you'd be willing to just expand on that.
Sorry, it's Kaylee.
Haley, I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. My mom and spelling trips people up a lot. I mean, I think for our community, I am at Temple University. We are at the Wellness Resource Center. So we have been really trying to engage our male students. We get a lot of buy-in from survivors, from people wanting to engage in advocacy work, but have gotten feedback from students feeling as though like it's a bit more centered towards what this looks like for female identified students, well, people. And so wanting to be more cognizant of what this looks like for various communities and different groups of people, for people with disabilities and what that looks like, and for people from underrepresented communities. So really wanting them to be a part of that conversation and being a part of that exploration into what a culture of consent really looks like, and of care. So I feel like we're really moving forth in this coming year of trying to, um, I think, not be so punitive of someone maybe not understanding that this you're harming someone. And I think with the students that we have, it's been really a thing of feeling as though I can't do anything, like I'm doing everything wrong and I'm a bad person if I harm. And it's like it's a choice that is being made here. So trying to maybe focus on the behaviors that are contributing to this experience, as opposed to you're just this bad person that can never do better, or make a better choice, a better informed choice. So
I love that. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Yeah, for me, what that sparked is like this co-creation of a culture of consent, because there's no one way to define, or there, I mean, obviously there is a way to define consent, but there's no one way to like to discuss it basically, and to create that culture of it. So I really do like what you're saying here. And I think that nurtures a lot of like buy-in and responsibility taking and trust with what you're doing. So that's awesome. Thank you. Um, yeah, Giovanna says all of the above. Michelle, teaching people more in depth about DV, going beyond awareness. Oh, yeah. And Michelle is saying definitely all of the above. Yeah, this was a great discussion. Thanks. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so current plans. We went into this a little bit, but we know with strategic communications, it's all about getting specific with your ask of groups of people, right? Um, so I have been known to take this like shiny tactic, right? Shiny object, and to run with it without thinking, okay, wait, who am I actually trying to reach and what am I trying to encourage here? There's been a lot of strategic thinking I've heard already. And so these are just questions to, yeah, inspire a little bit more of the sharing. So if any of these questions speak to you, please feel free to unmute or to, pop something in the chat. I'm going to read them out loud. What do you want your audience to learn? And what do you want them to do? What is your organization doing in October? And are there any opportunities you can use to your advantage? Be it, what's in the news or what other community organizations are already doing. There was a great comment. Oh, Giselle, yeah, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Giselle, and today I'm here on behalf of the San Francisco Paralegal Association. So in October, I'm currently the only victim advocate that I know of who's a paralegal involved with the San Francisco Paralegal Association. However, there is a lot of interest. And so we are having a paralegal day in October. We were hoping to have a whole victim advocacy day that did not come into fruition. But we would like to have at least a 1 hour speaker on just victim advocacy in general, and then maybe another speaker on VAWA or housing rights, just some legal aspect of victim advocacy. And then at the end, what we're really hoping is that, or what I'm really hoping for, let's be honest, is that more paralegals will sign up for 40-hour training classes. And that's all in the works. The San Francisco Paralegal Association, I believe that we've decided on the date of October 23rd. So we're working on it. It's not exactly what we envisioned, but that's what we're doing. And any advice would be more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle, and thanks for taking that leadership too. It's so important for paralegals to know about the dynamics and the prevalence of DV and the resources in their communities. So that's going to be it's going to have an amazing outcome. Giselle, what community are you from?
I live in Oakland, but this is the San Francisco Paralegal Association.
Okay, great. And are you
So
connected
I'm
with
on a
domestic?
lonely land.
Oh,
Sorry, I
okay.
just have to throw it in there. Yeah.
Oh, thank
What were you
you.
going to say?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, are you connected with local DV organizations too?
I volunteer actually with an organization, the Center for the Pacific Asian Family down in Los Angeles.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I
I took,
volunteer. Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say I took their 65-hour training last year and it was awesome.
Oh, I love their training. I've taken several, and theirs offers the mental health care first aid provider along with it. I don't know if they offered that with yours, but
Hmm,
yeah, a great one if anyone's looking for another 40-hour training. Yeah. Thanks, Jessica.
nice. Thanks, Giselle. Yeah, and if you're ever interested in learning more about Bay Area DV organizations too, we're always here. We can make connections. So just let me know. Great. Would anyone else like to share about the audiences that you'd like to strategically connect with and what you'd like them to do, or any other community organizations that you're partnering with for DVAM? We'll give it maybe one more minute in case folks want to put something in the chat if they're typing something up. I know that
Well,
many folks are, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if you're gonna touch on this, or like if this is a curveball, but I know sometimes prevention isn't always in DVAM, because they tend to do a lot more with like Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month, and DVAM seems to be more historically intervention. So I guess like just for the preventionists on the call, what are some opportunities that you see preventionists being a part of, or other or prevention audiences learning from DVAM communications? Could you hear me? Am I frozen?
No,
Okay.
yeah. And while folks are thinking about their response, I just wanted to read from Ashley saying, I'm here on behalf of a client in Sacramento, California, who is a survivor of domestic violence and published a book to support other survivors. That's awesome. We are looking to forge connections and raise awareness in our communities, and we're in the research phase to learn what is taking place and develop a strategy from there. I love to see that. Thank you. And just like Kimmy shared the Bay Area region link, we also have a North region link with organizations in the greater Sacramento area, and we can definitely share that out.
In terms of that last question, are there any opportunities you can use to your advantage? The one thing that's been like my mind is we will be like in the depths of a presidential election. And then as nonprofits, right, we're not going to endorse candidates and stuff, right? But I'm just thinking about in terms of comms and the news cycle. Uh, I mean, it makes it unpredictable, right? There's a chance that DVAM is just going to be completely buried, or, I mean, considering the climate, gender-based violence could be a big topic. Um, so I've I've been thinking about that a lot as DVAM approaches.
Mm.
Hi, this is
Yeah.
Alina again. I just wanted to share. Thank you for saying that, Michelle, because I've also had that thought. Another question, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm like a little reserved to bring this up, but just seeing that this has been in the media. For example, there's a movie that came out recently that is very poignant to the work that we're doing. And not to get into all the like discussion about how people have received that, and there's critiques and strengths and minuses, but one of the things that I'm wondering is like, how do we harness that opportunity and use it for good to continue the awareness conversation, but not get sidetracked to the fact that like, yeah, it's a piece of media, and it's not necessarily um, 100%. Like I said, there's criticisms to it, but I don't know. I guess in my mind, I'm like, this doesn't happen every day where there's a conversation where people on social media are sharing their stories of being of experiencing trauma and sexual abuse. And I've kind of been honestly on the lookout to see which organizations may boldly use this opportunity to talk about it in strategic comms. So that's one of the things I was wondering if anyone has considered doing, or if anyone has seen that type of content already. I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, we've definitely been tracking the reception. Um, I actually read the book as a part of like a book club sort of thing. But yeah, I do think it depends on your organization and your willingness to jump into conversations where celebrities are talking about domestic violence. There are definitely opportunities to leverage the discussion, even if it's neutrally pointing out, there's a big discussion about domestic violence and survivors' experiences because of this movie, and then pivoting pretty much right away to what to be true about domestic violence and what solutions exist. So yeah, I think there are definitely ways of leveraging the conversation without going too deeply into the content. I'm really interested in this panel of how to support a survivor. Speaking of solutions, that's a great solutions focused way of drawing attention to your organization and your services, what community members can do. Kaylee, would you be willing to talk about that panel and what that's going to look like?
Yeah, so um, it really kind of started originally as how to love a survivor. So having folks who their experience of being a loved one of someone who has experienced harm and kind of giving, I guess, tips and what they've learned. And so it's kind of moving into being more trauma informed and allowing survivors to speak on what they feel has worked for them in terms of people engaging with them or being in a more intimate relationship with them. So we're using this panel. We have students, we have campus partners, people from like Women Against Abuse and from local kind of Philadelphia organizations coming in to discuss really the work that goes into being an advocate, um, speaking to what we can do in our daily lives of supporting those who may not have the tools to fully engage in a healing journey just yet, or just meeting them really where they are on that path. So it's really taking it to look what this means on a community level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love how survivors are in the lead there, talking about what's worked for them. Megan, that's a good idea.
Sure. Yeah, so I don't know how familiar everyone is with an op-ed, but it is an opinion piece that you can submit to your local paper or any paper really. Um, and comment using your expertise as a preventionist and an advocate, um, and leverage either the buzz around, that particular movie or the buzz around the election, and come in with and state your own opinion and your own message for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Through some research of our own, we found that Domestic Violence Awareness Month is the most prominent time that domestic violence is talked about in media, so traditional media. So yeah, harness it if you can. Like Michelle said, it's kind of iffy whether or not the election cycle will kind of overshadow this month, but there's no harm in trying to leverage it and use it to our advantage.
Thanks, Megan. Okay, well, thanks for this discussion. I think we're ready to move on to the next slide.
So I really wanted to have a discussion about sustainability because we're all in nonprofits, right? And I'm sure we're all busy with endless to-do lists. And so, with DVAM, in addition to doing all our normal duties, there's usually in September and October, additional events we're called to, um, additional social media posts, more opportunities, right? Which is just like more stuff piled on our plate. Um, and uh, and I know I'm someone who gets tempted to create new and shiny things and do them myself. And so I wanted to have this discussion with everyone. So during October, how do you prevent yourself from being stretched thin during this busy month? Uh, and what materials can you reuse from previous years?
And sorry, folks, I don't know what's going on with the slides. I'm going to fix it in a sec. There it goes.
There we go. Yeah, I'll read the other questions. Who else will be helping you with the campaign? And what actions will have the most impact, right? I've been really thinking about like the small things I do every time that maybe don't have as much impact, and could I take all that, can I drop that and take all that newfound time to strategically do things that will have um, more impact? Is anyone else thinking about sustainability this month? Or not this month, October, well, in September for planning.
I know something that we're trying with our own team this year is not having a theme. We did bring up, in conversations amongst ourselves, if a theme was a good use of our time. Um, using a theme also makes it so some materials can't be recycled every year. So this year we're actually trying to do DVAM without a very specific theme, and seeing how that goes, trying it out, and seeing if, that's one thing we could take off of our plates moving forward.
Oh yeah, that's a good one, Megan. I was thinking about that because what we've heard from our members is that you're looking for like high quality content that you can either adapt or, use out of the box, basically. And that's going to be our focus this year, is just like, you know, good, solid social media content that we can post and that you can post without us spending as much time on the theme behind it.
Yeah, Kimmy, looking towards national orgs like One Love or NNEDB. Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of being like, but I want to create my own content. DVAM is fun. And so I really want to take some time to dive into the NNEDB uh, their toolkit. I'll put it in the chat. Um, and really utilize a lot of their content because why reinvent the wheel, right?
I've noticed folks talking about their Purple Thursday walks, and I'm curious, have you had those in previous years too? And are you able to reuse any, promotional content or be planning documents around those? Yeah, something to think about. I know that for our events, we often think about how we're engaging our speakers and thinking about what messaging worked before and how we can just, recycle that kind of stuff. So I always like to see that kind of thing instead of starting from scratch.
Do folks ever like collaborate with other organizations for DVAM and not necessarily domestic violence organizations, but just other people in the community?
Hi, so I'm Alexander, by the way, sharing the link today with Eliana. We're with Haven Hills, but yeah, we tend to work with local agencies, especially for like health fair events. So like in this case, we're looking to develop the Purple Walk with a few other organizations that are near us. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Another one that I know of is, for example, news up in Napa. They oh, I'm sorry, one moment. Okay. I know that they have partnered with local restaurants for some of their awareness months. Like there has been, like I don't know specifically actually for DVAM if they've done it, but they did orange desserts with the bakery for Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. They did teal tacos for Sam. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they did a DVAM one too. But that is just even kind of some of the other ways that I'm thinking of because I've known of, and not just them, but other folks who will, with local businesses and agencies, they will like do something like that, or even just have, oh, like the local coffee shop by the cashier, there's just like our stickers that or like our flyers that say come to our events, and it's just a very easy promotional thing. And that we trained the staff so if they get asked about it, they know, kind of what to say that we do. And just some other thoughts that I'm kind of bringing forward for folks.
Oh, that's cool. They're reaching like a whole new audience. And that's cool that they train the staff members to, say what the purple, the meaning of the purple and teal and orange stuff is. Um, Joanna, we host our DVAM event, and then I'll get back to you, Alina. uh, we host our DVAM event as a resource fair where we collaborate with local agencies that support our missions to provide help for survivors. In addition, we have created merchandise such as t-shirts to sell for donations. Our staff also wear these t-shirts at the event. Oh, that's cool. That's a dream at the partnership to create merch. Yeah, far off dream though for us. Um, Something else I wanted to mention, if you're looking for other things, Lamar, which is a billboard company, donates ad billboard space. If you're looking to like, you know, um, bring more awareness to stuff. And so you have to email your local office location, and we'll get your stuff on the billboard. And then a target date when the DVAM toolkit will be available. Uh, Jess, do you remember? I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Yeah, we'll have some items pretty soon. Like we're sort of doing like a staggered rollout, and we'll go through the various tools, but um, I would say everything will probably be out by mid-September. Does that sound right, Michelle, for the social stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Next slide, please. Oh, Megan, I think this is your slide.
Yep, that's me. So I wanted to share with you what our campaign goals are for this year. So first of all, we wanted to build and strengthen relationships across the board. This includes with you, our members, policymakers, um, and yeah, so within policymakers, connecting policymakers with our members and also connecting policymakers with the partnership as well, and then engaging community leaders, our members, and also policymakers. So overall, trying to engage everybody. Then we have education, as Jess mentioned. We heard from you all about wanting really good quality content that almost gets to the basics of things. And so that's something that we're working on. And then fundraising for ourselves and other domestic violence organizations in California. This is one of the best times to be doing fundraising if you can, because the focus really is on domestic violence for the month. And then finally, becoming a main talking point for candidates running for office. And this could be any office at local and state level, but really trying to get in there and make sure that gender-based violence is represented with the candidates that are running to platform. So from here, we'll go to the next slide, please. And we'll all share about each of our kind of parts that and roles that we're playing within this overall tactics for our campaign. So I will send it back over to Michelle.
All right. I do a lot of the social media. I'm helping create social media posts about basic DV topics and like diving in depth, like economic justice, homelessness, prevention, the criminal justice system. And so we're working on a project to produce videos and maybe partner with some folks. It's still very much a work in progress, but that's what the social media posts will look like. And then Jess?
Yeah, thanks. We also have some pretty robust talking points outlining all of those themes Michelle mentioned that will be available to our members to share with any policymaker, be it a city council member, their assembly member, their senator, you know, really anyone, someone who sits on the Board of Education. And we're going to basically invite our members to consider inviting their policymakers to DVAM events so they can speak, they can use these, adaptable talking points that your organization can, polish and finalize. And that kind of stuff is really helpful for strengthening relationships ahead of key state budget campaigns. So we're constantly, trying to make sure that the field is adequately funded to serve survivors and prevent domestic violence from happening. And these kinds of events can really strengthen that relationship ahead of the campaigns. Also, sample social media posts about DV. So not only are we sending you this messaging as a resource you can send to policymakers, but we're going to send these talking points directly to all legislative offices too. And then I'll pass it back to you, Megan.
Thanks, Jess. So another project that we're actually working on with Blue Shield is the Journalist Playbook. And this is a resource that has been consulted on by a group of journalists and survivors that will help journalists reporting on domestic violence do a better job of that. And so this is the first iteration that we're helping to roll out during Domestic Violence Awareness Month with Blue Shield. More info to come on that, but yeah, the first version is being developed and almost ready to be shared with you all. And then I'll pass it back to Jess.
Thanks. We also mentioned earlier that we want to become a talking point, among candidates running for office. So we're not endorsing anyone, but we do want to make sure that they know it's important that they address DV if they are elected to office, because it's a public health crisis and we need leadership around this. So in doing some research around the best way to do that, we connected with the League of Women Voters, and they often host debates where they are the moderators. And so we've developed a few questions around just generally what they would do to address domestic violence, given the high prevalence in California, and also what they would do to address the intersection between domestic violence and homelessness. We're in touch with them and we sent them those sample questions to consider reading to candidates at their debates. We'll also make those questions available to you in case you know of any community debates happening. And then Megan, I will pass this along to you. I'm sure you'll be getting lots of media inquiries.
Sure. Yes. So elevating domestic violence in the media, like I said, around Domestic Violence Awareness Month is when most articles that we see get placed on domestic violence kind of tend to pop up. There's a lot of those one-off spots that we'll usually see of either like a newsroom that wants to briefly talk about like hotlines and resources and very basic definitions. Other times, local communities will want to report on events going on in the area, and this can be events that you all are hosting. But yeah, in terms of our strategy, elevating the playbook is one of our tactics for getting some more press talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month, as well as some of these connections that we talked about with becoming a talking point and getting on the radar of policymakers. So that is our strategy for elevating domestic violence in the media, which is usually already being done around this time. And so I'll finally pass it back to Michelle to talk about some fundraising.
Yeah. So NNEDV, sorry, the National Network to End Domestic Violence, is really trying to make Give for DV Day a thing. And I mean, I'm sure we all want to make this a thing where people know to go on what is the day this year? It's usually like a Thursday in October. Oh, October 24th, and give to their local domestic violence organization. And so we will be encouraging people and all month to donate and really give on Give for DV Day. And then and any DV has a bunch of templates for asking for donations and fundraising, but that is October 24th. And so we'll be participating and encouraging people to donate on that day. All right, next slide. So the DVAM 2024 toolkit will launch in September, somewhere around mid-September, although we are rolling it out slowly and in pieces. And then it'll also be on our website, and it'll be sent to your email if you're signed up to our listservs. And then it will have a sample Domestic Violence Awareness Month resolution where you can add your local communities information and then try to pass it among your local governments. It will also contain social media videos that I mentioned earlier, as well as the talking points for policymakers, the sample pitch for debate moderators that Jess is working on, and a media guide. Yeah, it's easy to just be like DVAM, and not say Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yes, Griselda?
Yeah, so I know that this might be a big ask, but is there any way that next year this toolkit can be released a little bit earlier? Just because those of us who do not work at a DV agency, for example, I'm at Mount St. Mary's, and a lot of the things that we do, since Mount St. Mary's is an educational institution, we have to get things approved way ahead of time, and we have to give leadership some time to sort of approve our proposal for the month. But again, I know it's a big ask, but that's the situation for some of us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for bringing that up. And certainly, we're going to try to get it out earlier next year. This year, we tried something a little different. We're working with a professional producer who works for like Dateline and 2020 and does all of their TikToks. And so we're getting maybe like a little bit slower of a start just because we've had to create a contract and really hone in on the process of working together. However, we know that next year, and we're hoping to engage with this person again and again. We're hoping that next year we'll have a lot of the groundwork ready and that we can get the tools out a lot sooner. So thanks for bringing that up. Michelle, did you want to address how to access the toolkit? Nicole had a
Yes,
question.
how can we access it? We will be sharing it to your email inboxes, and we'll be posting it on our website when it's available. All right, cool. Let's go to the next slide. So I am going to talk about like things you can do now. So right now you can sign up for the National Network to End Domestic Violence's Give for DV Day. And it's a big giving platform, and you can create your own profile and stuff, and people can donate there, and then they send the money to you. And they're trying to get a bunch of domestic violence organizations on there. So whoops. And you can register up until September 30th, although you'll probably want to leave yourself some time to fill out the profile, the organizational profile. So there's a link for that. And then right now, oh, uh, okay, soon, you can reach out to local policymakers and ask about passing a Domestic Violence Awareness Month resolution. And I should have that ready shortly, and I'll send that to your emails. Um, and then mid-September, um, we'll be providing that template to encourage your local leaders to talk about domestic violence. And that contains like statistics and uh, how to talk about domestic violence. Because yeah, a lot of local leaders don't really know how to approach the topic. And so this will make it easier for them, or at least like bring it to the tops of their minds. Um, and then mid-September, um, oh, uh, sorry, caregiver was trying to talk to me. Uh, yeah, sorry, and that will also contain social media posts for them to post, hopefully around the beginning of October. Next slide. Let's see. So I wanted to talk about social media. And so yeah, once you get the toolkit, you can download the videos and schedule them onto your social media. And then a couple posts that I like to recommend people to do is September 30th, share a post or post a post about the basics of your organization, right? Because as Domestic Violence Awareness Month happens, people will be visiting your page constantly. And if that is there, then that's an easily shareable post that people can share throughout the month and to get to know your organization more in depth. And that'll be like one of the first things they see. So I like to recommend for folks to do that before October begins. And then on October 1st, you can share, this month begins Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October 17th is Purple Day, and we have some Purple Day graphics that you can post. But of course, the more popular one is to post you and other staff members and community members wearing purple t-shirts right on Purple Day. Um, and uh, and then October 24th is that Give for DV Day that uh, we're really trying to make a thing. And so during that time and in the couple days leading up to that, really post about the amazing work that you've been doing this past year that your community may not know about. So that on Give for DV Day, they see a post and or something that tells them it's Give for DV Day, look you up, and the first couple things they'll see is the work that you all have been doing. Um, is there any other posts that you're preparing for DVAM? Any wisdom to share? Okay. Um, so we'll go to the next slide. Um, and during October, we encourage you to share our posts. And then before Purple Day, we encourage you to reach out to your local community members, well, maybe for some of them, telling them that Purple Day exists, and for other folks, reminding them that to wear purple on Purple Day. And then let's see. Oh, Kaylee, being a college campus, we are sharing about the red zone in September. Yeah, yeah. I mean, as advocates, like a lot of people know about that, and uh, whenever I share that with young folks, they are always very surprised. Um, so that's it's good that you're bringing it up. Uh, Alina, We pitched to a funder of ours, a bank, to do a fundraising campaign for October that highlights the relationship between DV and financial abuse. Oh, that is cool. Oh, that's getting my brain juices flowing. That's a great idea. Yeah. Um, all right, and then Jess, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, so like we mentioned before, this is going to be a series of tools that are available to you to adapt. So, please feel free to make it your own based on your organization's priorities and reach out to us too if you need any support with brainstorming or um, you know, structuring like any events. A lot of us have experience with that stuff and we love it. It's just like fun for us, right? To be in community with you as you're planning awareness events. So just let me know, send me an email, jessica@cpedv.org, and you can, connect with me, but also with the entire comms team. We're each here for you. Next slide, please. And I believe this slide is going to be Megan.
Yep. So just some final resources that we wanted to share for you as you're either planning out your campaign or fleshing it out. It seems like all of you have gotten a great start so far. But we wanted to share the resource library that contains past peer prevention network webinars that we've done and has topics on prevention messaging, establishing goals and objectives, and social media management. And so I'm sure Kimmy will plug that link in the chat. And then finally, as we mentioned before, NNNEDV, the National Network to End Domestic Violence's toolkit, is also available to everybody. And the theme is the same as they use every year, which is hashtag everyone knows someone. And it highlights how common domestic violence is, and that it's more than just physical violence, as we know. So those are some additional resources and tools to lean on that are already out there. Talk about sustainability and repurposing.
I also wanted to add a couple of other resources. Last year, folks wanted like a space where they could exchange ideas or drop what they were planning on doing for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we created this Canva document because who doesn't love Canva these days? And there, if you click the arrow at the bottom, there's kind of hidden. There's 5 pages where you can drop a little post-it note and let others know what you're doing for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And then we also created a campaign planning document with a lot of the questions that we asked in this webinar, but it's kind of like a place where you can help you as you're planning your campaign. All right, next slide.
Yeah, so we just wanted to open it up to you all with any questions. We've already had some great conversations here, but happy to start discussing with you all.
And I can always bring the slides back, but I figured a question slide, if folks wanted to come off, it might be a little bit nicer just to see everyone's faces.
I just want to say the information is like really helpful. So thank you. Kind of will help us, structure how we're going to approach these next couple months, for sure.
There's a question in the chat. Has anyone done peer-to-peer fundraising this month? We'd like to invite college student advocates to form fundraising teams.
Hi, Giovanna. Um, Alina, I don't know if this is helpful or relevant, but when I was organizing on college campuses and trying to fundraise for my own peers, I found like one of the most effective things was just having like little sales, and it could be really accessible things. So we did big sales before, I think especially around like Pride Month, we did like rainbow treats. So I'm sure for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I wonder if like a bake sale that other students could sell purple themed treats, and let people know what the cause is going to. I know another thing that our clubs did a lot was we had a button maker, and we made various designs. You can literally use Canva for this. They just had little catchphrases that were relevant. And so we were a feminist club, so talking a lot about like empowering women, and again, election seasons was one of the years we were organizing on campus, so talking about voting and things like that. And so people got to choose different buttons they thought that, resonated with them, and that was always popular. So I think, something accessible really on college campuses where people can, spend just like a few dollars, because we all know, college students tend to not be the most financially wealthy. But that's what I did when I was on college campuses.
I'm also thinking about like I know a couple sororities, like I know Alpha Chi Omega had domestic violence, at least one on my campus, had domestic violence as one of their causes. So maybe engaging them and having, them be like the first teams to um, start to do this peer-to-peer fundraising. So that might be an idea.
Any other questions? And no problem, Alina.
If I could jump in real quick. So I'm thinking about doing some kind of virtual event or campaign. And but I'm concerned about, because it's like a space that the nonprofit I work for would be kind of cultivating online, and it's not like I'm being invited to another space, like drawing people into that, if that makes sense. Because it's different when there's like you have another like a school or another organization like promoting it for you as well. So if anyone has recommendations for that, or maybe now is just not the time to do it during DVAM, but yeah.
Yeah, do you mind sharing a little bit more about what the virtual event will be?
I don't totally know yet. I was thinking about wanting to do something related to prevention, for sure, and thinking about something around Purple Day, and then like in the beginning of October, and then having that continue to actual Purple Day on the 17th. But yeah, I do not have a specific topic yet.
Yeah, I think it just depends if it's like a social media campaign. one of the more important things before you even started really any campaign really that Michelle mentions all the time on our team is prepping people in your audience to learn a little bit about you first, whether it's for fundraising or some of these like larger campaigns where you're, asking for some sort of investment from them. Starting off with some kind of post or something that just lets folks know who you are, what you're about, is a good starting point, I think. And then in terms, again, I don't know if you're thinking about engaging like in weekly activities that maybe people can do. You can always post a calendar. I think those are pretty popular. Live streams, I know, are also popular if you want to do like something that's just on one day and then see if you can find like a really compelling speaker, or maybe have a conversation with a youth leader or something, to talk about what prevention looks like for them. Any any sort of topic like that. Once you figure out your topic, you can always start to promote it ahead of time, and do countdown until whatever day you host or plan to host it. I know that Instagram has all those tools for, um, the countdown little sticker that will remind you to um, log in and tune into a live stream.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that this really depends on, I know it's such a not fun answer, right? But it really depends on your audience, and what the goal is, right? Because, you could have an event where it's survivors reading out their stories, right? Or maybe you could do, or a totally different audience would be doing art therapy together, um, right? Or I don't know, if you have someone in your community that's kind of known and people want to hear their story and they're willing to partner with you, right? That would probably gain a lot of interest in attendees. I've been really fascinated by the live streams that influencers have been doing to fundraise for specific organizations. Um, uh, and seeing the kind of activity, they do like 24-hour live streams, right? And just seeing the kind of activities there that keep people engaged and, uh, you know, uh, for them to go out of their way to attend this thing and then be inspired there to donate. Um, so, yeah, maybe looking into those for inspiration. Like I know Physics Girl just did like an 8-hour live stream to raise awareness about chronic fatigue syndrome and like long COVID. Where was a live stream of her a a day of her life where she's just laying in bed all day and they're interviewing experts, right? Which is different than Mercury Stardust, who is like someone I like to follow. Just did live stream with a bunch of other influencers for trans folks. So maybe looking into those because they seem to have hit a good stride to engage folks.
And just out of curiosity for those that are in the room, how many of you, you can like, I don't know, thumbs up it or put in the chat, if you um are, well, I guess if I'm asking you if you're one thing or the other, you can't really thumbs up, because that can mean either. But let us know, are you primarily a preventionist? Are you interventionist? Are you wearing multiple hats? Because we know sometimes people do. Just kind of curious. to see your reach? Hmm. Thank you. Yeah. So we have some both. We have a lot of prevention, which makes sense. It's the prevention peer network, but we do have development comms. Okay, and maybe like a secondary question for like those of you who maybe aren't directly in comms, like, do you know your processes of how to like get out your communications in your organization? Because like sometimes I find like, oh, like, well, I'm really lucky at the partnership. I have a communications team, so I'll like have ideas or something and can bring it up in our meetings. But just want to make sure like if you have these ideas that you're learning today, that you have like an avenue to then disseminate them.
I know in my old org, I was a one person, well, like quarter of a person comms team. But the hardest part for me was getting like approvals for stuff to get comms things out.
Yeah, I know when I was at a local program, I was fortunate to like only be a comms person, but was a comms team of essentially one with some management above me. So, um, yeah, I'm curious to know how comms works at all of your organizations, or if you're not sure, I would encourage you to learn how it does. Because yeah, a lot of these campaigns really have really big communications elements to them. Um, all right, so I know we're just about at time. Are there any other lingering questions?
I'm also going to put everyone who's presenting's contact information in the chat.
Thanks, Kimmy. Yeah, so if not, feel free to contact us if you have a question that comes up later and you're like, oh, I still want to brainstorm that out or discuss that. We're happy to chat with you. Um, oh, that's a great point, Michelle. Yeah, if you don't have a huge domestic violence awareness month campaign, that's totally okay too. And you can just start with one thing and grow from there. There's so many things going on this month that it can be hard to, kind of you want to do a million things, but yeah, it's also okay to start small. Yeah, and our last little plug, I'll throw it over to Michelle, is our communications learning network.
Yeah, so if you're the person who works on communications at your organization, we have this communications learning network that where we host webinars and discussions and stuff. Last year we did one on pitching to journalists and media training and talking more in depth about the graphics that and being more mindful of the graphics that we use to represent domestic violence. So if you want to join, email me. Thanks.
And I'll just give a little plug. It's in the chat, but thanks for joining our Prevention Peer Network programming. We have more next week. On Friday at 10 a.m., we have a guest speaker coming to talk about the trauma-informed responder and resilient child. So come see us for that. And just want to thank communications team so much, Michelle, Jess, and Megan, and for everyone who shared. And we also thank those who are just kind of listening and learning today. We always understand, appreciate that as well. Sometimes you just need to digest everything. I'm going to turn off the recording now.